Up next on Today Beer Review, we're going to be looking at the Whale. This is a brown ale by the Community Beer Works out of Buffalo, New York, and it's coming in at 5.9% ABV. Check it out. Hi, it's Rich, and welcome back to Today Beer Review. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you enjoy the channel. And if you do, please consider liking, subscribing, all that kind of stuff. So today we're looking at the Whale. This is brown ale, and it is by Community Beer Works out of Buffalo, New York. And it says ale brewed and packaged by Community Beer Works, Buffalo, New York. And they do have communitybeerworks.com on the side of the can. And this is also coming in at 5.9% ABV. Now, there are like little whales, sort of like interlocking mouth to tail on there, which is sort of interesting as far as the art goes. And there's a little thing that says the Whale is an unmistakably, I'm sorry about that. The Whale is an unmistakable brown ale, smooth, surprisingly drinkable, and packed with flavors, with layers distinctive, we layer distinctive English malt with a touch of hops to create flavors and aromas of coffee, chocolate, and toasted grains. All right, so this should be right up my alley. 5.9% ABV, a little lower than some of the ABVs that I like normally. But it is a New York beer, which I like. I can't remember where I got this, but using the trusty Guinness glass. And you know, this does pour like a nice light brown, little bit of a head. Head is like a light khaki color. There we go. So it's really sort of a chestnut. I don't think the camera's getting the color well enough. It's like almost how can I put it? It's like a light brown leathery color with a khaki head. Not much of a head. You know, even with a little bit more of a pour, let's say. No, the carbonation's good, and quite honestly, with that pour, I'm getting some aroma, some sort of roastiness out of this. So I'm getting that sort of roasted barley. I'm getting the coffee roast in there. There's a hint of like a sweetness on the back end. I can't really distinguish what the sweetener is. And it's almost like a molasses type of aroma as well. Maybe that's the sweetness that I'm sort of picking up. It's very nice. I mean, really, really beautiful nose on this beer. You know, the nose is sometimes deceptive. Let's see how it tastes. Wow. All right. Number one, that goes down really, really easy. They are absolutely correct about this being an easy drinking beer. So front end of the tongue, I'm getting sort of that coffee flavor to it, the roast of the coffee. And there's a hint of this molasses-like sweetness. They describe it sort of as toffee on the side of the can. I'm getting a darker sweetness there than that. And on the back end of it, there's sort of this other roastiness there and a little bit of bitterness that offsets it all, which is really quite nice. It does drink very, very easily. In fact, it almost reminds me of like an English mild, if you will. Although I think the ABV on this is too high, but there is sort of that sort of like molasses, toffee roastiness to it. And it does remind me of sort of an English mild in some respects. I know they say it's a brown ale, but I guess that so many styles of the beer are sort of like crossing over that occasionally, you know, some of them are going to remind you of some of the others, even if they're not within the same sort of genre of beer. Yeah, this is very nice. I could see this, you know, I expected something like, I guess, decadent and almost sweet coming from this particular beer, but it's just the opposite. And I don't mean that as an insult to the beer, because I'm actually quite fond of it so far. This is a good everyday drinking beer. It goes down easy. There's a good amount of flavor to it, but you know, not so much that you have to overanalyze every minute of it. It leaves a nice aftertaste in the mouth. The carbonation is spot on and sort of causes the flavor to sort of open up on the back of your tongue. This would be a good everyday drinker. So, you know, it says the whale on it. I just expected sort of like some sort of, I guess I was expecting sort of a dessertish type of thing, but it's really like almost an everyday type of accessible brown ale. Almost like an everyman's brown ale, if you will. That being said, the Whale by Community Beer Works, would I buy it again? Yeah. Yeah, not only would I buy it again, this is one that I would be very pleased to share with a friend. You know, not as one of those beers that are like, oh my God, this is the only time you're ever gonna taste something like this, but one of those beers that you can just appreciate without having to, you know, go through crazy analysis of it. So, you know, would I buy the Whale again? Yeah, absolutely. It's a good beer. You know, does what it says it does. And if I remember correctly, this was either $3 or $4 a can, so it wasn't super, super expensive, which I like. All of this sort of checks those boxes of an everyday drinking type of beer. Anyway, folks, I hope you've enjoyed the review. If you have, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit that like button, subscribe, maybe share the channel. Throw a comment down below if there's a brown ale you think I should try. I'll give it a try. Of course, if it's available in my area. And I'll see you guys next time on End of the Day Beer Review. Cheers.